Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Wonderful venue, exciting day. I'm Tim Killeen, and I have the privilege of serving as the president of the University of Illinois system, and I'm delighted to be here today. Governor Pritzker, it's always a pleasure to have you come to the University of Illinois to help us celebrate good news about your advocacy for and investment in public higher education. I also want to recognize, to begin with, a few other very special guests who will be speaking today as well. Welcome to Naraya Romero-Rudy, who's graduating next month, and it's a big deal when you graduate from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. She's one of our students who will be telling her story. Welcome to two of our state legislators, Representative Carol Ammons and Senator Paul Faracci, who are with us here. Thank you so much for being here. We'll also hear from Urbana Mayor Diane Marlin. Thank you so much for being here too. Also with me this morning, and importantly, is our Dean of ACES, which manages this wonderful institution right here, Germán Bolero, who is now, I think I can strike the word interim from this, I think he's now the acknowledged Dean of the School of ACES, beyond interim anymore. And it's always gratifying to see somebody I feel like is my authentic partner, and that's Deputy Governor Torres on our campuses. Thank you for being here. So Governor Pritzker and members of the General Assembly have consistently shown their commitment to public higher education and their belief in its ability to deliver for the people of Illinois. And their support is apparent today. They demonstrated first by being here, but that belief in public higher education, and of course in the University of Illinois system, is importantly also demonstrated through the investment of public funds. And I have to say, Governor Pritzker, this is a historic time. You know, obviously we're in the choir because we work in public higher education, but through your leadership, we now have a commitment to the training, education of the next generation of Illinois citizens who will truly transform the landscape of this wonderful state. So thank you for that leadership and your commitment. So Governor Pritzker and lawmakers last year provided strong increases in operational funds, for which we're very grateful. Critical student financial aid, which is so important for many of the young people we have here, and in capital funding that you can see across our campus and in our other campuses. And the governor's proposed budget for this year continues that historic commitment to reinvestment in the people of Illinois through public serving higher education. And so we're so very grateful for that. The University of Illinois system is a marvelous machine designed and created years ago to serve Illinois. And obviously we quote Abraham Lincoln every time we can, but I'm not going to bore you with that right now. But it is an amazing machine. And I can promise you, Governor, we will not disappoint you. Your commitment to this institution is acknowledged, and we recognize that we have to deliver for the state of Illinois, and we will. We educate our citizens. More than 94,800 of them are enrolled at our universities here in Chicago and in Springfield right now. And more than 24,000 of our students, and 3/4 of them come from the state of Illinois, graduate every year. They stay in Illinois. They live, work, play, and vote in Illinois. They're ready to be participants in the sustainable economy we're helping to build across the state. So working in partnership with Governor Pritzker and other state leaders, the U of I system also has a mission to generate innovation and research that creates economic opportunity. And this facility here is one such example of that in real time. And the opportunity for people to live healthier, more productive lives. And we do it at a scale that reaches into every geographic and demographic corner of this state of Illinois. Through that partnership and the state's capital investment, we now have the Illinois Innovation Network, working to solve regional challenges and create opportunities in 15 hubs across the state of Illinois. And I can tell you that other states are envious of what we've put in place in this state. And this includes the expanded UIC Innovation Center, focused on computing, medicine, and entrepreneurship in Chicago, the UIS Innovation Hub, which will help revitalize downtown Springfield, and the renovation of Arkell Hall and the replacement of Illini Hall right here in Urbana. And anybody who's ever been associated with UIUC knows how significant that is in the hallowed central precinct of our university system. And this will create another major research and education center for big data science and analytics that will change the world. The growing innovation network also includes the Discovery Partners Institute in Chicago, which is already providing workforce training and anchoring a vibrant new to-come innovation district and building important links through major partnerships across the whole world. We're standing right here in a perfect example of state investment in action, the Integrated Bioprocessing Research Laboratory, or IBRL. The IBRL is an amazing success story in the transition of research, bench research, innovation to economic prosperity for our state, the nation, and the world. There is no facility like this anywhere in the world. It is a test bed for new bioproduct innovations, and it has led to faster, more efficient, and more cost-effective transitions from benchtop ideas to pilot-scale testing and proof of concept for industrial applications, from biofuels to biomaterials. I guess you can get a sense that this is also piloting industrial scale opportunities in bioproducts. So that's really important. We are crossing the valley of death from benchtop innovation to commercialization products. These are the kinds of game-changing investments, Governor Pritzker, that you've championed from day one of your administration. So I speak for all of us at the University of Illinois system, 24,000 faculty, staff, 95,000 students, and growing. Demand is up again, more applications, to thank you for your leadership, and thank you for being with us today. And now please join me in welcoming our Governor, JB Pritzker.
It's music to my ears to hear about all the new applications. So many people want to come to the University of Illinois, and I'm so grateful for that, and great things are happening here. I'm proud to be governor of a state with a flagship research institution like this one, and I brag about it everywhere I go, just so you know. Thank you very much to our president, Tim Killeen, for your kind introduction and for hosting us here today at the University of Illinois Champaign-Urbana. I'm grateful to be joined here by Urbana Mayor Diane Wolf-Marlin, who's always here ready on the spot when good things are happening. She's part of it. She's making sure that those dollars and the success of people who live in this area are highlighted, and I very much appreciate your leadership. Senator Paul Faraci and, of course, Representative Carol Ammons, who I get to work with in Springfield, great partners and advocates on your behalf. You should know that they don't hesitate to come knock on my door, bang on my door, to make sure that I know what the University of Illinois needs. And so you should be very pleased with their leadership. And then, of course, County Chair Kyle Patterson. And today we're joined by a terrific young student. You heard her name a little earlier, Naraya Romero Rudy, who you'll hear from in just a few moments after I'm done. She has a fascinating story to share. 4 years ago, when I first took office, going to college in Illinois seemed less affordable than ever before. Funding for higher education had been cut so badly that out-of-state tuition in other states was more affordable than in-state tuition for Illinois students. That's not how a smart state plans for its future. Illinois colleges and universities are the most powerful tools that we have to build prosperity in all of our communities. Addressing the teacher shortage, training medical professionals, leading in our innovation sectors, well, that's progress that happens in these very halls, in the buildings that surround us here on campus. So my partners in the General Assembly and I have spent the last 4 years righting Illinois' fiscal ship and working to make college attainable for every Illinois student. And it's working. Across the state, freshman enrollment is the highest it's been in at least 6 years. And in fact, across the nation, college freshman enrollment went down 2.4%. But here in Illinois, freshman enrollment was up 5%. The nation down 2.4, here in Illinois up 5%. Thanks in part to all of you and the work that's being done in Springfield. Here at UIUC, total student enrollment is the highest it has ever been in school history. You deserve a big round of applause. So that's great progress, but there is even more work to do. My budget for this coming year proposes the largest increase for higher education in more than 20 years. That means that we can tackle college affordability from two angles. Restoring public funding directly to our universities alleviates the need to raise tuition. Are there trustees in the audience? Because I want you to hear that message especially. And taking MAP grants to new heights means that we're providing record-breaking numbers of state scholarships while raising the amount of each one of those grants. Already 37% of in-state undergrads at UIUC receive a state MAP grant to help pay for their education. We are trying to make it so that every kid, every young person, every person that wants to go to school at the university here or at any college across the state of Illinois can do so for free at median income or less. We want everybody to have the opportunity to go to college and do so without any student debt, and we're working our way there. As we make tuition more affordable for students, we're also investing in the university's facilities, modernizing them for a 21st century learning environment. The Rebuild Illinois Capital Plan, which we passed in 2019, is the largest in state history, and it dedicates nearly $2.8 billion to university and community college infrastructure across Illinois. $686 million of that is directed to the University of Illinois system, with over $420 million of it for this campus alone. The state of Illinois and our General Assembly have worked together to provide $500 million for U of I's Discovery Partners Institute and the establishment of, as you heard, the Illinois Innovation Network, regional hubs at universities throughout our state, with over $100 million of that funding supporting UIUC's campus infrastructure. UIUC is our state's flagship public research institution, and our students are some of the most sought-after graduates in the entire country. You go on to become leaders in business and medicine and government and the arts and so many other fields. So when we invest in the University of Illinois, we're shaping the future of our state, of our nation, and the world. So I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. With that, I am pleased to introduce one of your great UIUC students, Naraya Romero-Rudy. Naraya?
Good morning. Good afternoon. I'm Naraya Romero-Rudy. I'm a senior studying integrated biology here at the University of Illinois. And currently I'm eagerly awaiting graduate decisions from genetic counseling programs. Firstly, I'd like to thank Governor Pritzker for inviting me here today, and more importantly for his commitment and efforts to make college affordable in our state. I'm from Danville, Illinois, a small town about 30 minutes east of UIUC's campus. Because of the close proximity, growing up I was very familiar with campus in the Champaign area. My decision to come to Illinois and study biology did not only come from my love and curiosity of the subject, but my experience that have culminated to this point. When I was young, my sister Leah was diagnosed with leukemia. During my sister's treatments, she and my mother would stay in Memphis, Tennessee at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Sometimes the rest of my family and I would visit, and we would attend Leah's appointments. There, we were treated by family by these nurses, and Leah was seen by one of the leading pediatric oncologists in the country. While I always knew that he was friendly and intelligent, it wasn't until I grew older that I truly understood how good of a healthcare provider he was. He was able to present and translate complex biological information to people from all walks of life while still maintaining an empathetic and consoling attitude. Understanding what was actually happening to Aaliyah gave my parents and my family more comfort and insight. I knew that I wanted to grow up and grant those same feelings to other families. The compassion and expertise of the medical staff at St. Jude imprinted on my academic pursuits that have led me to the University of Illinois and a career in genetic counseling. While I knew for a long time that I wanted to come to the University of Illinois and study biology, I didn't always know how. As a senior in high school, I became aware of the Illinois Commitment Scholarship offered by UIUC. The Illinois Commitment Scholarship grants low-income in-state students free tuition for 4 years. I remember reading it thinking it was too good to be true. However, I also remember the immense pressure that had been lifted off of the shoulders of myself and my family. Thanks to Illinois Commitment, MAP grants, and other state financial aid, I've had the incredible privilege of being able to focus on my studies and explore the many opportunities offered to us here at the University of Illinois without the pressure and burden of wondering how I'm going to fund my education. State and university funding have given me the chance to make the most of my very special time here on campus that's coming to a close. While representing low-income students, first-generation students, the people of Central Illinois, women in STEM, women of color in STEM, I have been able to conduct research, volunteer, and make long-lasting personal and professional connections. But most fulfillingly, since I've stepped foot on this campus as a freshman, I've been able to take opportunities like today to bring awareness to and stress the importance of an affordable college education. Attending college is not something restricted to people who come from a certain background. Here at Illinois, being an Illini means that you have a dream and you have the passion to pursue it. No student should put their hopes aside just because they don't have the money, resources, or parents who went to college. Thank you. I'd like to introduce the senator. Thank you.
Well, good morning. So I'd like to thank the University of Illinois for hosting us here today, and of course, thank you to Governor Pritzker for joining us in Central Illinois. I could talk all morning about how vital higher education is to economic development and securing a better future, but I'll keep my remarks short. Our setting here today in a 4-year land grant institution is just one example of the ability to cultivate world-class leaders and problem solvers. Currently, 55% of MAP recipients are studying business, healthcare, education, and life sciences. These areas are critical to ensure a solid future. Being here in a cutting-edge lab is a physical representation of the investment we're able to make to keep Illinois on the forefront of innovation. The University of Illinois has been a starting place for some of the most globally recognized companies. But we're not just churning out companies. We're cultivating brilliant innovators and change makers that will work to solve grand challenges our world is facing today. Additional support for economically challenged students will provide an opportunity for smart individuals with varying perspectives to be part of the solution-finding process. 4-year institutions are just one way to invest in our future. The governor's budget demonstrates a significant investment in the many pathways Illinois can take to have a more prosperous future. Additional resources for community colleges to support the development of advanced manufacturing, technology, workforce training programs will provide an opportunity for many in East Central Illinois to be a critical component of moving our communities forward. Again, I want to thank the University of Illinois for hosting us here today and to thank the governor for joining us on our beloved U of I campus. It is my honor now to introduce Representative Carol Emmons.
Thank you, and good morning, good afternoon. I've been waiting for this since 9 o'clock this morning. I certainly want to welcome the governor to our humble abode. Certainly, this is an amazing facility. We get an opportunity to come to see the technology and innovation in person when we come down for the budget amplification events. These are exciting moments. Not a lot of people can brag about this kind of thing or even have a press conference where we see the distillery right behind us. We don't usually get to do that. So I certainly thank the governor for the investments that we've seen over the years. I think the governor made a point that we need to highlight. Just about 8 years ago, we were seeing a significant decline in investment in higher education at the 2 and the 4-year level. We didn't see it as a priority under previous governor who decided to withhold our budget and to make us fight for what we know is the best solution to invest in our communities through education. And so standing here at the Integrated Bioprocessing Research Laboratory, which is a very long title, thank you to the dean of that, we are seeing how those investments are playing out. We invested in computer science technology. We invested in policy to support computer science technology. Deputy Governor Torres, who's here this morning, I appreciate you being here. We usually see each other in our commission meetings, but we're investing in sustainable funding for higher education across the board. And we're studying that with not just our president here of the University of Illinois, but all of the institutions across the state see that of value. But I just want to put the numbers in perspective. We increased additional $100 million of investment for MAP grants. That brings us to $701 million. If anybody's unsure about whether the General Assembly sees this as a value proposition, they only have to look at the introduced budget of the governor, and they only have to look at the finished budget of the General Assembly to see if those things are true and if they are measurable. We increased that funding level so that students who cannot afford to go to a 4-year institution like the University of Illinois can get assistance in doing so. We also increased $100 million of new operational funding for universities and community colleges. The governor proposed that in his introduced budget. I don't see the General Assembly being opposed to investing in that way. We also supported, and this is important for us because workforce development has to tie with our educational offerings. We invested, again, in the workforce pipeline to invest in workforce development at the community college and the 4-year level. We also did something that we hadn't done before, which is put $8.3 million for dual credit. We want our high school students in Illinois to be able to go to UIUC and all of our universities, as opposed to going, as was mentioned earlier, to out-of-state institutions because the cost might seem to be a little more affordable. We want to mitigate that. We also did something that I think is important to students of color so that we can increase the minority teacher scholarship and diversifying higher education faculty by $2.8 million. So we didn't just say we want to do something, we also want to put the money behind it. We need to continue this. We need to continue providing financial relief to students at the university level. One of the bills we introduced this year was the Hunger-Free Campus Initiative that was also supported by our university and certainly by all of our universities in the system, so that students who come to our universities don't have to decide whether they can afford books and food at the same time. We want to mitigate that and make our campuses hunger-free campuses across the state of Illinois. We are excited about higher education, if you haven't noticed. We're excited about how it changes the lives of people, what we feel really from higher education. We also want to provide those same opportunities to our students who might not be able to attend this campus right now because they are incarcerated. But we know that we have students who are taking classes right through the University of Illinois as we speak today. And we are investing in continuing education to partner higher education with public safety. That is how we move Illinois forward. So I'm excited that the governor's decided to come down and celebrate these initiatives with us. We're going to back and partner with our governor to make sure that the investments in higher education are felt by every single community in the state of Illinois. And we thank you all for being partners. I'm thankful that our county executive is here. We have a county executive forum of government, and we also have with us our county board chairman, and I thank them for their work on the local level as well. Bless us all. Thank you. And who am I? Right, I'm bringing up my mayor, right? our mayor, who's a great partner for us in fighting for resources for Champaign-Urbana, Diane Marlin.
Good afternoon. I'm Mayor Diane Marlin from Urbana, Illinois. And I just want to say it's always a good day when Governor Pritzker comes to Champaign-Urbana, or Urbana-Champaign, as I should say. I wanted to thank the Governor, the Illinois General Assembly, for your equity-driven commitment to higher education, to workforce training, and to our communities. The increase in funding for the MAP grants for public universities, community colleges, and the additional financial support for minority teacher training will help diversify our workforce and increase opportunity for everyone. Here in Champaign County, we're blessed to be home of both the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign and Parkland College, two outstanding institutions that drive our economy and continuously change the world through education, research, and innovation. And a good example of this is the building we're standing in right here and the kinds of projects and the work that they do in IBRL. I was reading last night one of the projects here, and it's really a really audacious vision, if I have to say so. Someone's working on trying to produce food for people made from just 3 ingredients: air, water, and electricity. So that's the kind of innovative, out-of-the-box thinking that's going on around here. And President Killeen just shared with me this morning that this facility shifted gears in a day and began producing hand sanitizer by the barrel. When our shelves were bare and we were scrambling for PPE and couldn't find it anywhere, this place stepped up, and maybe it was this fermenter behind us, but anyway, thank you for the hand sanitizer. And that's just one example of the innovation and world-changing, life-saving efforts that this campus made during the pandemic, and it still is impacting us today. Shield, Illinois saved lives across the world, and I will be forever grateful for having been an opportunity to be a part of that and to work with them. So Governor Pritzker, my last comment today, it's more of a personal one. We hear stories like Noraya's wonderful story of how this campus changed her life, but there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of stories just like hers over the years that have come from this campus. And I've lived your commitment to higher education. I'm a first-generation college graduate in my family. I'm a UIUC alum. I've got 2 degrees from the College of Aces. Thank you. I'm a U of I parent, was an employee, and I'm a U of I retiree. I'm a former Parkland College affiliate faculty member and a proud founding member of the Parkland College Part-Time Faculty Union. All of these roles throughout my life prepared me to serve as mayor of the city of Urbana today, and for that I'm eternally grateful. So again, I want to say thank you to the governor, to the Illinois General Assembly, President Killeen and your team. Thank you for all, for removing the financial barriers, for providing opportunity, and for opening doors to anyone and everyone who wants to walk through them to build their future. Thank you. And we'd now like to welcome the governor back to the podium to answer questions.
Happy to take any questions from members of the media. Jeremy.
It's obviously very progressive. He's probably the most progressive politician we've seen elected mayor in modern times. A city that historically has elected centrist mayors, but barely won his election. So Brandon Johnson did. So what does that say about Johnson's election? What does that say about the state of Chicago politics? Does it speak to signify a divide in Chicago's political landscape, or in Chicago's political?
Well, let's start by saying congratulations to Brandon Johnson on his big win. I think there were a lot of people who were surprised, and in fact, when you say it was a small margin, actually I think there were people who thought he would lose by a larger margin than he ended up winning by. But he won, and he overcame, I think, suggestions that he couldn't. And so anybody that's ever run for public office knows that when you can overcome expectations and eke out or succeed in winning, especially in an important city like Chicago, they deserve enormous kudos. I look forward to working with Mayor-elect Johnson. I know that I spoke with him last night. He was still celebrating and had a very long day, but we'll be meeting no doubt over the next couple of weeks as he moves in his transition to make sure that the state of Illinois is doing whatever we can to be supportive of him as mayor, as we are of mayors all across the state. Look, he's younger than most of the mayors that have gotten elected. He's somebody who comes out of an activist background. I think there's a lot to admire about him. He's a teacher, and I believe that he will bring a certain vibrancy to the city. So I'm excited about that, and I want to make sure that all of the very important things that Chicago needs to work on, it's whether it's balancing its budget, paying its pensions, all the stuff that sounds boring to everybody and doesn't get brought up sometimes in the midst of an election campaign, but are very important for the future of the city, that those are just baseline things. And I want the state to be helpful in that endeavor, as we are trying to be for municipalities across the state. So I do believe that this is a change for the city, something new. But you know what? It's a new generation of voters that came to the polls. There is a change that's gone on across the Midwest, I might add, that people who believe in investing in workers, investing in families, investing in young people, have come to leadership positions as governor, as mayor in states. Think about Wisconsin and Michigan and Minnesota and how those legislatures turned Democratic in Michigan and Minnesota. And so I think he's part of a kind of a sea change that's going on in what I guess politically we'd all call the blue wall.
Do you have any reaction to the results of yesterday school board elections, both in the Chicago area and across the state?
Yes, my reaction is that fortunately the voters saw through the hidden extremists who were running for school board across the suburbs especially, and voted at the Chicago suburbs. Yes, thank you. Sorry, the Chicago suburbs and the surrounding counties, just to be clear, Cook County suburbs and surrounding counties. I mean, really, the extremists got trounced yesterday. And it's been acknowledged by some of the more extreme politicians in the state overnight and this morning on Facebook and elsewhere. And I'm glad that those folks were shown up and, frankly, tossed out. Yes, sir. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I get everybody's questions. Yes, sir. I can't hear very well. My apologies.
I'm saying that crime has been an issue here in Champaign.
Jeremy, can I ask you to amplify? I just couldn't hear all of the question.
About crime in Champaign,
Uh-huh.
and basically, what can you do to amplify the issue of crime in Champaign?
I'm gonna walk back and forth. Question was, my apologies, there's a lot of noise behind us and a crowd between you and me. So I think the question was, there are young people here in Urbana-Champaign who have been getting their hands more easily on guns, and that's resulted in violent crime, more crime. And your question is, what can we do as a state, as a region, to deal with that, to address that? Is that fair? So Let me begin by saying that it's very important for us to recognize that there are certain guns that should not be available to the general public broadly. And you've seen that I believe I showed my own view about that, and the General Assembly showed its view on it when we banned assault weapons in the state of Illinois. That's just a beginning. That doesn't take care of all the weapons that are out there, but let's face it, those weapons are attractive sometimes for people to get a hold of, whether they intend to commit a mass shooting or just to take it with them as what they think is self-protection, but in a violent circumstance, maybe to commit a crime. So we've got to make sure that those are off our streets, and we've voted to make sure that that happens in the state of Illinois. Second, look, there is a Second Amendment to the Constitution, but there are limits to what that means. It's, we can all read what we will about what that clause in the Constitution means, but one thing it doesn't mean is that everybody in every circumstance should be able to get a hold of every gun. And so from my perspective, making sure that we have universal background checks, again, something I ran on and won on, and we got that done in the General Assembly, universal background checks. Now, what's going to keep people, young people, who are legally allowed to own a gun from using it in a violent crime? We've got to make sure that we're addressing poverty, that we're getting people jobs, that we're lifting up communities that have been left out and left behind, because it's often those circumstances in which people end up committing a crime because they feel they have no other choices. So we've got to address this issue from multiple perspectives. I want to add one more thing, and I think this showed out in the results in the Chicago election too, that that there was one candidate who made out crime as if it's a single issue, that it has one facet to it, and that is putting more law enforcement on the street. Now, I happen to think that we do need more law enforcement on the street, but that doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you should do. That doesn't solve the problem by itself. You also have to make sure that, again, that we're providing resources for mental health and substance abuse treatment. And many of the young people who are getting a hold of guns are in need of mental health and substance use treatment. And if we can address those issues, we take a huge burden off the police, and I believe reduce violent crime significantly, because we're addressing some of the underlying causes. Thank you.